YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about a subject that's been concerning me. I don't really have a script, so I'm just winging this and we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure about the quality of the video because my son broke my phone again. He dropped it and somehow cracked the inside of the screen, so it is in getting its screen replaced for the second time. Third screen, second replacement. He usually doesn't have my phone. If anyone's asking, why do you let him have your phone? I got him his own phone, but his phone had died and I was asleep and I didn't know. He came up and he took my phone and ran off with it. So that's the way it is. But this is a phone, like a backup phone. It just doesn't have the best quality video. So if it doesn't look as nice as other videos, hey, you can still see me and I can still talk, and that's what matters. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about the black pill community and what that is. So first of all, black pill is basically a group of individuals, predominantly men, who have kind of just given up on everything because they realize the situation, especially for the youth. They see that there's no viable way to work at a standard wage job and maintain a house and raise a family and do the things they want to do. So they just kind of given up. And a lot of them, there's a varying degree of black pill, because some of them have still try to better themselves. They go to the gym, they put in applications at jobs, they have goals, because gosh, I can't imagine a life without having goals, having any hope, having any intention or ambition. But there are some of those out there that don't, that basically never leave their rooms, stay with their parents, and put their focus on the wrong things, which are things on the internet that don't really exist. And it's hard to see past that when you're in the middle of that myriad of dopamine and intermittent gratification, because it's better, I guess, for those people to get what they can get virtually than to not get anything at all. And I understand. I mean, I've been watching a lot of people in the black pill community. I know that I am not a part of this community. I'm a woman, first of all, biologically, and I'm married, I have children. I am not a part of this community. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that I can't sympathize and hurt for the men in this community and for our male youth, which is definitely where I stand. I'm Generation X. I'm in my 40s. I am nowhere in a place where I can truly understand the plight of the Zoomer and understand the plight of the black pill, but I can see it from an analytical standpoint, from a third-party point of view, and I understand why they feel the way they do, and I understand why it doesn't seem like there's much that they can do about it. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of advice for them. Like, I've been watching DBDR. He's the most prominent black-pilled YouTuber. I watch Depressed Unwanted Man. There's a couple others that I do watch. And I don't know what DBDR looks like. I know what DUM looks like. I don't feel like he is in any way like a Quasimodo. Like, I don't see the reason why he, in a physical sense, could not acquire a girlfriend or somebody, you know, to help him not be lonely. But when you look at the analytical sense of it, it's where do they go? How do they do this? How do they acquire somebody? Because women don't really, I don't go to bars. I think the type of women that go to bars on a frequent basis, especially to find someone who is single, aren't the type of women you would want to probably be in a relationship with. They don't have the best intentions. A certain, like DBDR goes to strip clubs all the time, and I know I'm shouting into the void, but I keep commenting on his posts, like, stop going to these strip clubs. These women are not interested in you. Oh my goodness, it's no different than the cam girls and the OnlyFans, and you were just a number and a dollar sign. And I would say to go to church, but I mean, there are some churches that do single meetups, but a lot of these single meetups are people. A lot of churchgoers are very polished. I have gone to different churches. I've gone to different churches for the sake of my son, because I wanted to try to find a church that would suit his special needs, being that he's nonverbal and autistic. And a lot of the more conservative churches, the more conservative the church, the more polished the attendees, and the more expectation they have to have a polished companion. So they pick from probably a lot of people that they've grown up with and have known all their lives, as opposed to you coming in as a new person and trying to join these single groups. Sorry, I'm right by. I'm on my porch, so there's a lot of traffic. But anyway, and then for those ones that aren't as conservative, that they're a little bit more liberal standing, there's probably a lot more of a revolving door where you would have more potential to meet singles in those groups. But it's difficult for somebody who is going into this trying to meet somebody, not necessarily going into this with a full foundation of God, to try to find someone that would be willing to connect with them when they're not devoutly Christian. And so you have to kind of start this path with the intent of becoming Christian. And a lot of times that's not really the intention of why you would go to these groups to begin with. You go there because you're lonely, because you want to meet people, not because you want to become Christian. So I don't see those being potential viable places anyway, unless you are already involved in that religious faith. So that really limits how you can meet people in public places. We have just gutted our community presence. I mean, I don't know my neighbors. Do you? I mean, there's very little people in this area that I know. And this city, there's very few people. I can say on two hands the amount of people I know in this city, and a lot of my family lives here. At least two of my family members, like my mother lives in this city, and my cousin lives in this city, and my best friend lives in this city, and I still know very few people in this city. So if there is something that would happen to me that would require a community presence because of the assistance I might need, I would not get it. You know, there's no community anymore. There's no dance halls. We have a roller rink, oddly enough, near here, but it's pretty much a ghost town unless you have a kid that's trying to have a birthday party. And bowling, there's no bowling alleys anymore, like in this area. And even if you would go bowling, you would probably go with your friends these days. Like, where do you go to meet people? The grocery store? I remember when I was younger, a fellow tried to pick me up at Walmart. I had no understanding because nobody ever took interest in me. I'm a very awkward looking and acting female. because I'm autistic. I just thought I was weird when I was younger. I thought I was just a weird nerd. I figured I was just really nerdy. And that's why I got along with boys more than girls, because I liked comic books. I played D&D, and I didn't get the things that girls were into. But anyway, I was at the comic books section, like the magazines and comic books. But I was looking at the comic books at Walmart, and this guy just started talking to me. And I was talking to him, being friendly, and then out of the blue, he's like, "So do you think you'd want to go out with me sometime?" And I just did not know what to say. And it became super awkward, and he ended up just walking away. I felt bad because I didn't know what his intentions were from the beginning. But anyway, I digress. I was talking about the black pill community, and I feel like I'm noticing a trend with a lot of these boys, and I call them boys because I'm in my 40s, forgive me, but they're predominantly in their 20s. They're predominantly 30 and under. So between 20 and 30, these boys have broken homes. And there's a lot of the Generation X parents that raise children in broken homes. And I know there was a study done by Dr. Farrell. He wrote a book called The Boy Crisis. Amazing theory that he presented, but he talked about how our youth needs to have interaction with their dads because their dads do that dangerous type of play to show them that they can take risks without pain, like helicoptering, throwing the kid up in the air. You know, it's showing the thrill, the joy of the thrill to a child, to allow them a safe way to risk take, so that they're not afraid to take risks when they get older. And I feel like there's a huge social detriment to those boys who weren't given that opportunity to be allowed to take risks, because a lot of moms that are single moms, and I speak for myself as well because I was a single mom, and see all this stuff in hindsight, but a lot of these moms are just like, I mean, moms are naturally designed to think worst case scenarios. So we say, "Oh, you know, don't do that. You're gonna break a bone, or you're gonna hit his head on something," or, you know. So we're always trying to deter the risk taking. And knowing that and having the knowledge of that has really impacted the way that I parent my son. Because my oldest son, he's 17, and he has had a stepfather probably longer than he's had his father. I think we've separated now longer than we've been together. And I know that this is not always the best situation. I feel in this situation, it was the best situation for these kids. And I don't say that lightly. I feel like if there was a mistake to be had, I mean, everybody says that, you know, you should stay in a marriage with your children. Your children should have their mom and their dad. My ex-husband was very emotionally manipulative, and he, for lack of a better term, was fucking his kids up, basically, mentally. I mean, my son still has the ramifications of that because he feels guilty anytime someone spends money on him. He always worries about the cost of things, if I can afford them. He feels bad if I don't, just this financial guilt that riddles him. And I really feel like he got that from his father, because that came up a lot when we separated. I mean, his dad. And it's no fault of him. He had no one else to turn to, so he turned to his son. But he went and was telling him things like, "Oh, your mom's going to make us homeless. She's going to take the house away from us." And long story short, I gave him the house. I regret it in hindsight because I'm in so much debt with my student loans, but I walked out of that with nothing and started over with nothing. But anyway, I got down a rabbit hole with that. But anyway, I feel like when we separated and I ended up with my husband now, who is a completely different type of male role model, it gave my son exposure to a different type of manhood and a way to be a stepfather properly, which he may end up being, and I'm not going to get into that. That's his personal business. But he's learned how to communicate with me. He's very honest with me, as far as I know. I mean, he could be pulling the wool over my eyes, but he does come to me with his concerns. I respect that about our relationship, and I give him a very long leash. Like, he's 17, he's going to be 18 in a couple months, so he has his own car. He goes and stays with his girlfriend every weekend. And honestly, he wouldn't have a girlfriend if it wasn't for her, because he didn't think he was worth that. He didn't think he was attractive. And it's because he's short. He's like 5'8", but the culture these days just guts these men who don't have the height to feel like they have value. As soon as they say, okay, how tall am I? I'm under 6 feet. Well, then I'm ugly. And it's just wretched. It's wretched that they have to feel that way. I feel like I'm entitled to have a taller companion because I'm 5'8". But if a girl is 5'2", let her date someone who's 5'6". Why does that make her a less of a woman if she's dating a shorter man? Because he's not short to her. I don't know. That's just the culture that we have right now is so wretched. And I hurt for these men, all these men that struggle because of it, and struggle because they had mothers that wouldn't let them take risks, wouldn't give them the liberties that they needed to have. You know, I let my son go out when he was 14 and just ride his bike around town. I let him do a lot of stuff on his own. I didn't really, I don't know, helicopter. And he was up to some no good. He did some bad things. He, smoked pot. He rambled around this abandoned warehouse with some of his friends. I guess that'd be trespassing. Yeah, he did things but these were things that I did as a kid. And imagine Generation X, we were let outside and the door was shut and they said, don't come back till the sun comes down. And that's how it was. We just rambled around the neighborhood. You had friends because those were who were around you, and you had no choice but to be friends with them or be bored out of your gourd, basically. So there was a lot of social interaction. I made a lot of mistakes socially with people. We'd become friends and then we'd fight and then we'd not be friends and then we'd make up and we'd be friends again. You don't see that with these kids. My daughter is 15, and a couple weekends ago she went to see her boyfriend. They met online and she stayed over at his house, and that was the first time she's ever had a sleepover anywhere. I mean, when I was a kid, I slept over at my friends' houses all the time because I lived in a crappy trailer and I had nothing to do. I had a black and white television in my room and an Atari, and my friends had Nintendos and stuff. Like, I stayed away from my house as much as possible. And you just don't have that. They all the creature comforts are at home. And my daughter, she rarely leaves her bedroom. So it's a very different dynamic than my son. My son spent a lot of time in his room during COVID, and then he realized that it was making him depressed, and he had to have social interaction and asked to go back to school. So he went back to public school. My daughter did not. So she's found her social connections online. She feels connected to these people as her friends. He never did. And honestly, everybody that you interact with online is kind of mentally unstable. Like, a lot of her friends are all mentally unstable. They're questioning their genders, they're questioning their sexualities. She feels like this is normal, that everybody goes through this phase. It is normal now. Once upon a time, that wasn't normal. But, my son going back to school, making friends, it totally changed his social dynamic. He has goals for his future. He's determined to graduate because his grades weren't the best, and he's making up for that. He's determined to take an apprenticeship to work on being an electrician. He has all these goals. And my daughter's goal is to be a stay-at-home mom, which is fine. That's always been her goal, but she's never really been ambitious. And so she has no desire to really go beyond the confines of her room, which makes me sad. I don't mean for her to be career focused. Like, I have a career, but I don't wage my life based on my career. Like, hospice is not everything to me. It is a thing I do as a job. And I don't bring it home to my personal life. So I don't feel like career should be the foundation of what makes you who you are. But anyway, I'm kind of all over the place. This is why I should have had an outline. But and I don't have a solution. I didn't come on here to talk about all this stuff with the black pill community and to come here with a solution. I hurt for these people because I have children that are kind of growing up in this generation, and they have fortunately found companions, and I pray to God and thank him that they are not alone. All three of my older children have found significant others that they are in long-term relationships with. My youngest is 5, and I worry for his future, but I'm at the point now that I don't even know if he's going to be able to live on his own, let alone develop a relationship with somebody. If we can get his social ability improved, I mean, he's an attractive kid, and I feel like he's going to grow up to be an attractive adult. He's tall, he has dusty blonde hair, he's a great smile, like, he has a lot of potential if he could just learn to talk. And we could catch him up socially on how to properly talk around other people. But I think that there's so many people out there that are called autistic just because they don't know how to talk to each other anymore. And COVID has caused so much of a detriment to people. Nobody really knows how to go outside their houses. Nobody really knows how to form communities. I almost feel like a lot of these black-pilled people that have like a social following, have the ability to vocalize and talk to people to some degree, should make their own communities, and just try to put themselves out there and have people come to their to spaces, like public spaces. Like once a month I go to Wegmans and meet up with some ladies and we cross stitch. I mean, that's old granny stuff, but you could do that. Meet up and play board games or something. Start a D&D thing. But I don't know. I don't know the best solution to all this, but I worry for our youth, because if they can't make these connections with each other, they can't form families, they can't have children, how are they going to lead? Like, eventually they will need to care for us. They will need to lead this country. And I don't know if there's going to be many of them that are able to step up to that role. Like, what legacy are we leaving them when they can't even afford rent? I worry for the dynamic of the future of this country and what it's going to turn into. I mean, these kids, I was listening to DBDR, and he says his friends are all trying to find a way to get on disability. They just want to get government handouts because they can't find jobs and they don't know what to do with themselves anymore. And it's like, well, at least they'll have some sort of income. And I mean, the moment you sell your soul to government assistance just because it seems too hard to do it any other way, I mean, it's over for you. To quote the community in large, that's what they usually say. It's like, it's over. And There's got to be a better solution. But nobody wants to tackle this problem because there's so many freaking problems in this country that nobody is looking to our male youth. And I've been looking at them for years. Ever since I learned about The Boy Crisis, that book by Dr. Farrell, I worry for their future and I worry for our future. And I feel like we all have to do our part to step up and help pull these boys into the community, because it's more boys than girls. I'm not sure where the Zoomer girls are or what they're doing with their lives, but it's the boys that are struggling because they're the ones that need to be our leaders and they don't know how to lead. So this video has gotten way too long. I hope it's been insightful for some of you. I know it's completely off topic of anything else I ever talk about, but that's what I do with this channel. I just ramble on about everything. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.